Lane, I know you've had little time to assess the situation, but just your kind of off the cuff feelings about what you watched this morning.
You're right, obviously. We just walked off, haven't watched the film, but, impressed with the first offense, running and passing. Not impressed with the defense. So, it always happens when you're scrimmaging yourself. If one side does good, you walk off saying, okay, well, are we good or on that side, or are we bad on the other side? So, we'll go watch the film. We played a lot of players today, 1s, 2s, 3s, a lot of reps for new guys. So hopefully we'll learn some stuff off this film.
Like you said, you haven't had time to really look at, assess the whole situation, but was there anything that kind of stuck out defensively that was problematic?
Yeah, poor tackling. You make excuses and say first scrimmage, but still got to tackle. We worked on it yesterday. And came out and didn't tackle very well. And, which is discouraging because, we had a number of receivers that, were banged up. So they were playing but weren't able to be tackled. So a lot of it was just the running backs. And, 1s, 2s, and 3s missed tackles between the linebackers and the secondary. So a lot to learn.
I guess on a positive note, kicking game today was perfect as far as PATs and field goals. Just how you see that mix shaking out, there's a lot of candidates there.
Yeah, it's competitive. Both guys did a good job, again, like they have most of camp. So, we don't care who's on scholarship, who walk on, what year you are. We're going to play the best guy that we think. So, that competition will continue. Good problem to have.
Obviously, there were a lot of rotating bodies and whatnot, but it looked like there were kind of 3 series of top offense versus top defense. And the defense looked like it had a little bit of success there. Would you say that was accurate, at least on that front?
Yeah, I thought in the second half, defense did a little bit better. Now the second half was not tackle, so that helps. But it did seem better. It was very frustrating first quarter defensively, especially to give up explosive plays like we did.
What did you see from receivers not named Braylon Sanders? Did you see anybody starting to step up as a guy that can contribute a lot?
Daniel's had a couple opportunities today. He's done really good things. Wish he would have made, there's 2 plays today I wish he would have made, but he has had a good camp. And the rest of it just seems to be a mix of a lot of guys hurt and some guys that have done some good things, but, inconsistent.
Just want to ask you if you saw anything on the field with Luke Altmaier and Kincaid Dent today that may create some separation or anything of that nature.
Well, I think they struggled at times because, of what's around them. It's a lot harder to play with the 3s than it is to throw the ball to number 13. So, part of, I'm sure the numbers weren't great, and part of that's a product of that. But both guys have done good things, and, need them to play really well.
I know you don't get into injuries, so I'm not asking specifics. I asked the other day if there was any long-term injuries, and you said there weren't. Is that still the case? I've seen some guys, go out and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that is still luckily the case.
Lane, can you just give us an overall assessment of 1 week of fall camp? Are you where you thought you'd be, where you want to be?
I think the concern is what happened today, with the offense looking really good and the defense not. And, you know, again, it's good and bad. You don't know. You're playing yourself. So it's a little frustrating on the defensive side. But you never know. This time a year ago in the fall scrimmages, we couldn't make a first down with our first offense with Elijah. And our defense stopped our offense all the time. So, and then I guess we're some interview when they're interviewing, said we're the only team in America to give up 40 and score 40, you know, as an average last season. So we obviously want to fix that.
I did want to ask about Matt for a second. Some of the receivers have come in and talked about how they've seen him grow as a leader. They've seen they think his game's developed, that kind of thing. You obviously watch him every day. What have you seen from Matt, you know, in terms of from the end of last season to now?
I would agree with that. Very mature, really helping others on and off the field, can see it, and proud of his development in both areas. So, you know, he got a chance to be really special and go make a lot of money if he plays like he can consistently.